This is a Suboptimal podcast. Check out our suboptimal content at suboptimal.co.
All right, everybody, welcome to episode number 32, 2.5 Weebs. This week we're going to be talking about Copcraft. It's a show where you get a little elf sidekick to help you solve mysteries. It's like Scooby-Doo, except with an elf. It's not at all like Scooby-Doo.
If you ever
And racism. And racism against elves.
Yeah, that's true. They're not actually elves, though, I don't think. Is she?
A quick question. No. They don't call them elves, but they have elf-like ears and elf-like features. So
right. Okay.
Some of them do, yes.
Some
of
them,
yeah, there's like a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but so they do have fairies for sure. Did either of you guys watch Gate, or do you know what Gate is?
Never heard of it.
I've heard of it, yes.
Okay. So this show is very similar to Gate in its premise.
Mm-hmm.
In that the premise of Gate is that a portal opens up to another world just in the middle of like Tokyo, and it becomes this huge issue, and there's all these like politics and stuff. But that takes place like while it's happening. This is like 20 years later, or so, when there's a city that's already inhabited with all of these creatures from another world, and everybody's just kind of hanging out. But they're all just like super also racist. So I mean, hey.
Oh boy.
Yes. Anybody want to take the helm on this one, or do you want me to?
They're, according to a bit of the lore, they kind of sprinkle through the first few episodes. Mm-hmm. There was a war that took place.
They invaded the other world. Yeah,
they don't give a time frame for it, and they don't say who started it. But they do show a flash that humans did at one point attack places in the other dimension. And I assume they did the same thing. There is a peace treaty signed with the UN between Earth and their dimension. So I guess the kingdoms of their dimension. So
okay.
Everybody's at peace.
First off, what we should talk about is the fact that for apparently out of nowhere, how long ago now in this time? What, 7 years? Did they say? I don't remember. I don't know if they had an actual time frame, but like some invisible portal between our world and some fantasy universe just kind of opened up in the middle of the ocean. So like you could pass back and forth between these fantasy realm and real life. It's like an invisible
portal in the sense that like if you're like taking your ship from they didn't say it was LA, but they kind of like insinuated that it was somewhere on like the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, but it's like if you're going from like LA to like Japan on like a shipping boat, you just randomly transfer through worlds at some point, and it's invisible. You don't see it. It gives off a magical energy, which, believe it or not, humans can't feel, but the people from the other world can.
Right.
So they just have to rely on like GPS and stuff, which they talk about in the first episode.
Yeah, how like the what do they call them? There's a word that they call people from the other planet, or not planet, the other
dimension.
Yeah, it's a word basically about them. So
they can find it without super fancy science equipment, but humans have to have like satellites and science stuff to find it. And even then, don't they say it's kind of hard?
Yeah, because they have to rely on guesses because nobody's actually seen it. Like when you're making a map, say you're a cartographer or something, when you're making a map, you can have exact like line of sight with what you're drawing out, and you can have exact GPS coordinates, and you'll still be off. And then at this point, they don't have exact GPS coordinates, and they can't see it. They're just guessing from their GPS location. And like when they might disappear. So they don't even know if it's in flux or something. Like it could be something that pulses or moves, but it has a general area. Like it's very unclear, the entire situation about it. So, but
yeah, very, very
CSI
neat.
Magic was really fun.
So that's kind of our backdrop to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the history of kind of the world and some of the things that's going on in it. Essentially, in these episodes, it focuses on a small story arc that takes place just over these three. that leads some threads for later,
Yes.
where a fairy from the other dimension has been kidnapped and is being sold via the black market on Earth, which is where we meet our main character. He's a police officer in this city, and he's an undercover cop looking to stop the sale of this, black market material.
Because for the record, fairies are used to make drugs.
Yes, fairies are used to make magical drugs, which drug trade is bad. So
Oh, like fairy dust or something. I don't even know.
yeah, they literally call it's literally called fairy dust.
It's the same shit Peter Pan used. So
Except it doesn't make you fly, but it does
makes
get
you
you high.
I don't think that you could fly in Peter Pan either. I think it was an acid trip. I'll be honest, but hey,
Probably.
yeah.
So he stops. They interrupt these guys who were peddling the ferry. Turns out they had stolen it from somebody else. The main character's partner gets murdered by a guy who gets basically taken over by a wizard from the other world.
Possessed.
And this leads to them trying to track down the ferry and track down the wizard who's obviously involved, and who murdered his partner. So to help accomplish this, a knight from the other world comes over who, due to the treaty with the UN, such as we mentioned, basically has all the same rights that she would have to hunt down criminals in her world in this one. So she's paired up with the police officer, the detective, to assist him in tracking down the ferry, because that's what she's here for. And he's looking for the killer of his partner.
And she runs around with a sword. And man, I bet this show's going to have some incredible sword versus gun animations, huh?
So, she does use a sword. They don't use modern weapons that humans do. They're still using swords and stuff.
They're not immune to bullets, though.
They're not, but
do they have magic?
They do have magic, and it has been shown that they can protect themselves from bullets using magic. So, like when she uses the incantation that alters her outfit, that's actually giving her magical protection as well. So it's more difficult to harm her.
Got it.
One way around that is using weapons that are imbued with magic, which humans, by and large, don't have.
So what we do is we sneak into their dimension, we kidnap a mage, and make him make magic bullets.
Well, I say by and large because there's a thing that with the partner later on.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
So he gets saddled with this person who doesn't know anything of Earth, its customs, or how things work over here, and is trying to track down stuff using his normal methods that he knows work, while dealing with this 18-year-old knight who's kind of gung-ho for justice and is more than willing to slice people up to get it.
Now, she's 22 where she comes from.
Yeah.
She is.
No, I thought it was 27. 26, 27.
She's 20-something where she's from, but there is a difference.
It wasn't. I don't think it was 22.
In time, yeah. Probably due to the length of their days or years compared to Earth. So they're actually, when you convert it, she'd only be 18.
Yes, which is conveniently legal. Thank you.
Yeah, totally not meant to be conveniently legal either.
So they go through a couple of your normal buddy cop things, him getting annoyed with her and such,
her saying, why are you giving me him, he's the worst one on the job, and the chief saying, god damn it, if you want somebody that's gonna sit there and not give results and just be happy, then I would have assigned you to them, but he's the best in the business, god damn it.
It's true.
It is CSI magic.
That was a pretty spot on impression too. I heard it in the dub. So yeah, I think Comfort is voiced.
I also watched the dub.
Did you? Okay.
Actually, yes. Fun fact: that was my first voice acting gig. Was voicing the chief.
Got
in
it.
The dub.
Love it.
They asked me what I need. I asked them what I needed to say, and they just said, just yell a whole lot and say that you need results, and then give us a couple lines about I need your badge and your gun.
You know, maybe
Yes.
if you just drop
But-
in that you need pictures of Spider-Man from time to time, you might.
Picture of Spider-Man.
But again, with like the chief yelling like that, it's again leaning into the buddy cop, kind of tropes, which
Oh
is
yeah,
cool.
100%.
So which is
I'm
great.
totally okay with. Like we talk about like, oh, it's doing the buddy cop thing. Buddy cop things
Great.
are pretty great. Like
They are,
We haven't
especially
had
when they're
a-
done well, and
Yeah.
this one's actually done pretty well. The
mhm.
juxtaposition between these two characters is quite extreme, so there's a lot of good play back and forth between them.
Right.
So they go
I did
hunting.
enjoy it.
They go hunting the criminals. They find out kind of who it is and that the wizard's working with them. They do manage to track down the fairy, which apparently is going to be turned into not drugs but a bomb.
So bit of explanations here. People who use the fairy dust drug are susceptible to mind control from wizards. God, this sounds like the worst plot for a show ever. And so they're taking the fairies and basically making a fairy dust drug bomb so that they can set it off in the city and it'll blow up over 5 kilometers. I think that's the number they use. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong.
I
five or-
don't remember.
5 or 10 kilometers, which is a
So, like,
large radius.
Very big. That's if you don't know, it's about 3.2 miles. About 3.2 miles, 3.2 miles. And there's a radius that's big, that's thick. That's like an entire like metro area.
Yeah, if you
And-
set that off in a highly dense, like a high density population area, you're looking at tens of thousands of victims.
Yes, easily, if not hundreds. So
Now,
depending on the situation.
the only other thing to mention is that the fairy dust bombs and the drugs people take, the mind control techniques the wizards use actually kill you first and then control your corpse.
They're more or less zombies.
Yes. Yeah, it's
So
kind of
this would
fucked up.
kill tens of thousands of people, turn them into a zombie army that this wizard could control in the service of this guy he's working with
Yes.
to
Mhm.
do whatever they wanted, which is bad because
Hey,
that's like an army, like literally an army to wreak havoc and start off another war, which it seems like this guy kind of wants the wizard.
Well, I mean, they discussed it in the next episode. So
Yeah, so they do
definitely
manage
discussed it in
to
the last episode.
track stuff down. This leads to a showdown between our knight and the leader of the other group here. And they actually get into a sword fight, which is actually really well done and cool. And then it turns out, surprise, the captain is a bad guy.
Shocking.
Wait, what? Why would he possibly do this? It couldn't be because he's racist.
Yeah, the captain, it turns out, is a super racist against people from the other dimension.
What?
He doesn't like the peace, wants there to be conflict because he wants to destroy them. And
That's wild.
our main characters end up killing the captain and then going to track down the wizard. It turns out the wizard is someone that our main character has met previously during the war, where we don't get a lot of information about this, but he did kill
Killed my
every
squad.
member of the guy's squad. We don't know how big the squad was, but he was apparently the only survivor.
Mhm.
He is hit by the wizard's magic, which is starting to kill him slowly. Due to the fact that he's had his gun a really long time and has put a lot of faith into his weapon, it has a very slight, they use a specific word for this, but basically magical, charge to it. So he is able to take a lucky shot and hit the wizard, thanks to the help from his weapon. This doesn't kill the wizard, but it does reveal him to the knight because he's currently invisible and she can't find him.
Mhm.
And she ends up cutting off one of his arms. But rather than surrender, he jumps off the building. Now, they're on top of a
Wait.
high-rise building.
I don't.
I don't remember this.
I don't.
either.
Did you watch
Well, this
episode
might be
4?
I watched episode 4, so this does happen.
Yeah. This.
Um,
Yeah. You cheated.
I wanted to see the conclusion.
You
It's-
fucking cheated.
Hey, why don't we not spoil the conclusion?
So at the end of episode
I
3,
started
they're
getting very
driving.
confused there.
At the end of episode 3, they're driving towards like super downtown, where it's like the fancy
Yes.
rich people, and they're like, "This
Like
is
Mar-
highly populated. This is
Yeah.
where if you
Yeah,
wanted to
they're
really
going
stir shit
to-
up, you'd blow this up.
Well, they're going to that area because it has the tallest buildings, and
Oh, yeah.
apparently
Yeah.
because of the bomb, the way the bomb works, because it's a dust, the farther it spreads, the better. So you don't want to blow it up at ground level because it's not going to spread as far because buildings are going to get in the way and stuff. But if you go to the tallest building, when it explodes, it's going to throw the dust out with nothing to stop it, and wind can carry it farther. So not only will it have a normal giant radius, but it might drift even farther than that and infect more people.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of buddy cop tropes in this, but that's kind of the setup for the show, which is good.
The show is very, 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 very tropey.
But it's done in the right way.
I love it. It's great. No, it's hilariously fun. I have one major issue with this show, which is they don't animate action a whole lot.
They don't. They do.
Which is sad because like the rest of it is really pretty.
Yes.
It looks really good. But then they'll be doing action. They'll like do an action thing, and they'll play like the sound of like a sword slice and a scream, and it'll just be a still image for 2 seconds.
Yes.
And
Now
they'll cut back, like running or something.
I don't know if there are editing issues with this, like if they edited stuff out or not.
Mhm.
'Cause that might be part of it. I don't know.
We don't know, but like,
so it's hard to say. But they do skip things like that, like the sword action stuff like that, cutting stuff off people and things.
I saw it in the opening,
it's-
which I actually like the opening because it's very jazzy.
Yes, but it's
I
also a way
like
to
that.
save money and time, right? Is
Yeah,
to
100%. But
cut down a bit. So if
that
they're
was one of
limited
the
on
things I
their
was hoping they were saving it for something more. But
yeah, if they're limited on their budget, I can see them doing that. If there's a big culmination farther on
yeah,
in the series, then it also would make sense.
'Cause, I
if
mean,
they wanted to-
Demon Slayer, which is the show that I'm still watching week to week, like they had a couple episodes with very low action. They've had a
Yeah.
couple episodes where they use 3D CG for just short like walking scenes and stuff, like not stuff you would notice if you weren't looking out for it. But
Yeah.
then they have like these culmination episodes where it's just like 2 minutes straight of clean animation and fighting that's amazingly beautiful. And that's like that's like a completely understandable situation. I haven't seen that payoff yet in Copcraft, so I don't know for sure if it exists. I hope there is one because the animation is beautiful, and I don't put it past the animators to be able to do this. I don't think it's out of their skill set.
I haven't finished watching every episode yet. I've watched a few more because the show is good. Like this is definitely a recommend. It's still ongoing.
The show is
for
done,
me-
correct? Like it's
The show isn't.
It's airing
the
right now. It's
The
done
show
like
isn't
next week.
done. It's still ongoing, so it probably
Oh, okay.
has.
I think it has 2 episodes left. 10 was out last week on Monday. 11
Yes.
comes out tomorrow, and 12 comes out next week. I don't know if there's a 13 or not.
Yeah, I don't know
It
if
should
this
be
is
ending in the
the.
next 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, so this is either going to be done in 2 weeks or if
Next
it's a
week on
24. Yeah, next week on Monday, or it might be a 24. I don't know.
It could be, but even then, we'll have the end of the season.
Yeah. The end of the season is probably coming up.
Okay.
More than likely, the show is very good. It's very well. The voice acting's great. The story is interesting, regardless of the tropes.
Yeah, if you're interested in like the cop, like if you want like CSI shows and stuff like that, like this is right up your alley. It's fun. It doesn't have a lot of action, but it has a lot of story. It has a lot of buddy cop tropes, but it does them in a fun way. It also has a bunch of anime tropes, and it does them in a fun way.
It's also animated in a more mature style. So if you don't like the really like kiddie looking type shows, that type of thing, this has a much more adult style of animation.
I actually, I enjoyed watching the 3 episodes of the show that we did.
And the color palette isn't like super bright either. Like it's a very toned down, more realistic color palette. I find.
Hey, I'm a fan.
It's a fun time. I enjoyed it. If you're into buddy cop, I'd recommend it. If you like the concept of like the worlds mixing, but that's not exactly what you're looking for, go watch Gate instead. Gate's not a great show, but it will give you what you're looking for if you're trying to find like the action and stuff.
Yeah. It's so far low in action, but that's also how a lot of cop shows are and start. Like they usually have a lot of exposition and like interesting storylines, interesting stuff going on in the background type thing. So this kind of keeps directly to that line. And there's like we're at the beginning, so there's no saying that there isn't something coming because
Exactly.
there
Like
are,
that's one of the big things I'm pointing out. Like I have issues with this right now, but I don't know if there's going to be some massive payoff in a week or two that's going to make me like just
like we don't know if
stop
he's going to
everything.
if at some point they're going to go to the other dimension or whatnot too, right? Like we have no clue. So
yeah, like again, Demon Slayer was really low on everyone's radar until episode 19, and then it kind of exploded the internet.
Yes, and
Everybody
we
was still
recommended
watching.
that. Yeah, we recommended that show heavily after seeing just the first 3. So I think this is another one that I think is, gonna be right up there as one of the best ones of this season. Probably the last couple seasons, really, because shows have been a little on the meh side.
They have been pretty meh recently. But hey, we do have a new season coming up in just a couple weeks.
And we're still gonna be stuck on Vinland Saga. So
yes, and Vinland Saga is still ongoing, and that show is fantastic.
What episode did we watch this week?
This week was
10.
episode 10.
10.
I was super tempted to start playing 11 today when I saw it went up because I wanted to see what the.
Yes, same. I'm.
because
it's such a good show.
Because of where 10 leaves off, I'm like, I want to hit play on 11 right now.
we got so lucky with this show. I cannot believe, like, man, remember when we got 2 bad shows in a row last season? We had to switch, and we still had bad shows. And
last season was a rough season for a lot of anime, I find.
This season's been kind of doing pretty good though. So, like, it's got some bad shows, but it also has some good ones. Like, you got How to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon season 2, Demon Slayer season 2. Yeah, sorry, season 2 is the only thing's good right now. But yeah, so let's talk about Vinland Saga because that's a thing.
So yeah, like we all recommend Copcraft. I liked it. It's a show where it's like, if it wasn't an anime, it'd be cool too. But like it's one of those things where it's like, I liked it, despite it being an anime, because we keep making the same damn joke for me. So
yeah, well, it's
like, I have to find shows that I like despite them being an anime.
Despite them being an anime,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And the more anime that something is, obviously, the lower on your radar it's going to be.
Yes.
And I feel like Copcraft had a pretty good balance for that.
Yeah, no, I liked the we also didn't talk about how like she had to go undercover for like a week. Maybe but she definitely did go undercover for a little bit.
She disappeared to go find the club owner who was the guy.
Yeah, to try to find the club owner. Yeah, but she wasn't planning on coming back alive from that. Is the thing.
Right, like she had to.
She left her sword.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's definitely worth the watch.
I would watch it if I could watch it on my couch without having to use Funimation. Because
can we just talk about how Funimation is like actually the worst?
Actually trash.
Yeah, that's the rough part for watching the show is that where you need to watch it at. Yeah.
Garbage.
I hate. Man, if anybody asks me about like what anime apps I hate, there are 2 apps that I despise, and it's Funimation and Verve.
I wonder if that's what's kind of keeping the show on, like the download back burner for a lot of people is where they have to see it at. I mean, assuming they're not going through other methods. So
right.
Because I know a lot of people, like I'm in Discords with friends and stuff, and they watch way more anime than I do, but they only watch it on Crunchyroll.
Yeah,
and like
a lot of people do.
Like I've heard, like they talk about, like I heard Vinland Saga is really, really good. I'm like, yeah, you should watch it. It's amazing, but it's on Amazon Prime, and it's like, oh, well, now I'm not watching it. Like that's the line.
Some
and that's
people
the line
might just not have Amazon Prime, so.
No, and that's the thing. Like,
yeah,
they only do Crunchyroll. They don't watch shows on Netflix. They don't watch shows on Verve or
Comfy?
Did your mic die?
No, Comfy is out of the room.
Oh, what the fuck?
That's sort of like, Comfy? Looks like Comfy is having some technical difficulties. Is Comfy alive?
Comfy is alive
More or less.
for now. Okay, so Let's take.
And
I'm
my
gonna take
campus
a.
didn't firewall Discord because I'm using it on my phone using campus internet.
All right, so I'm just gonna take a second to be like, okay, shit's broken. So yeah, we're having tech issues. Discord's being a motherfucker and it disconnected comfy. So here we are, like 10 minutes later. He's on mobile, so we're gonna try to get through the rest of this. So yeah, that's what's going on. So what the hell were we talking about when you got disconnected? We started talking about Vinland Saga, right?
We were discussing Vinland Saga, yes. We were mentioning something Comfy was going to go into, a bit of a rant, but
I think we were talking about how nobody watches anything unless it's on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, we were discussing that, how Crunchyroll is kind of where people go to watch stuff because it's super convenient and it works super well, versus other places where it's harder to watch shows like Copcraft, which is probably why it's not gaining as much traction with people who just watch things on convenient apps, because it's not on the ones that people use.
Yeah.
Which is also probably a problem for the Amazon users, where Vinland Saga is, because that's not really a place people go to watch anime.
I've been watching a lot of TV on Amazon Prime recently, so it's very convenient for me to have Vinland Saga there.
Yeah, their TV offerings are pretty good. Like their original shows, things like The Boys and
that show's great,
are really decent. So
I've been watching like Mr. Robot and stuff on there. I've been buying movies on there as well. So like I now own all the Star Wars movies on there, which is great. Or most of the Star Wars movies. Like that's just the place where I buy movies or rent movies. So it's just convenient for me to have it. Also, having an app on the Xbox is super easy to watch it on TV. So
yeah, I rent them from PlayStation Store for movies.
Yeah, I just don't like browsing the PlayStation Store. It's an effort.
It is.
It's not great.
It's not.
Yeah.
The search bar is fine though when I go to look for a movie. So
yeah, there you go. So yeah, this episode of Vinland Saga was pretty good. They did this whole thing where they were.
We got them.
In the beginning of the episode, they had raided some village, and they were all just kind of hanging out, right? I think so.
Yeah, so it was Askeladd's people. By the way, back on PC. Praise the sun.
Well, it starts.
Yeah,
Askeladd's people are invading a town, and everybody's like kind of really annoyed that they're doing it because the main army's gone back north at this point, and there's just the prince's
because winter is
people,
coming.
Yeah, because winter's coming and winter gets cold. So they were kind of retreating. You have the prince's people down over at London still, because people don't care enough about it. And then you have Askeladd's people who are just raiding villages, trying to make a little extra cash before the winter.
Right.
Yeah. The episode starts actually back in London before the winter, where we see, was it Thorkfell? What's
Thorkel.
Thorkel?
Yeah. Basically throwing giant rocks at the enemy encampment that is there to besiege them. And the besieging force is basically not attacking. Now, this is making the Vikings in the besieging force upset because they're used to attacking. However, it is actually very counterproductive to siege warfare, where you're trying to starve someone out. There's no point of attacking your people. You're just wasting them. So, he's not actually doing anything wrong. Thorkel finds out, however, that the prince is there, and he's the one leading the siege. So he starts grinning like a madman. And we cut back to the prince. He's praying to a statue of Jesus on the cross. Apparently he's a Christian, which is a very different thing for someone of Viking descent, especially when he's like second in line to the throne. And his minder person basically says, it's okay, just ignore them. We just have to hold out to winter when, we'll be withdrawn by your father, because the armies leave in the winter time, because supply lines are a thing and they're a bitch to keep up in the winter, especially back then. So it cuts then back to Askeladd's group at the village, where they're basically just conducting a raid to earn some, extra money for the wintertime before they go and join the main army, which has already gone far to the north.
Mhm.
And we have our poor orphan wake up because the other Vikings are being too rowdy while he's trying to sleep. He was actually having a dream slash vision, I guess, of his family and what I'm guessing is Vinland.
Yeah, it would have.
that's-
Yeah, if they would have gone to Vinland, everything was all nice
Yeah.
and happy and.
And they're like, doing domestic farm stuff. He's a young boy again, like he's back to being 6-year-old. A 6-year-old kid is what he looks like, riding on his dad's shoulders. And his dad starts talking to him again about giving up on revenge. Like his family needs him. What are you doing? Like this wouldn't make me happy. And then they get to the top of a bluff and they're looking down and it's their village. And the village is being raided by pirates or other Vikings, and they're killing people and taking the women as taking people as slaves, and they're rounding up the women. And he's like, "Oh no, mom and my sister! Like we have to go down there." And then the besieging, the attacking people see them up there, and they shoot his dad full of arrows again, which is hilarious, and just traumatizes him all over again. He wakes up. So then he kind of wanders through the encampment, and we witness the fact that these guys are all basically full of pent up angst and whatnot. The guy calls the other guy stupid. This leads to a fight, like an actual fight to the death type thing, and he just kind of wanders off to the top of a hill while these guys are rounding up. At the top of the hill, he meets Askeladd again. They start talking. He's like, "I'm not your friend. Stop treating me like that." And we see the conclusion of the fight down below. Guy gets killed. Kind of no big deal. I don't know if anything actual will bother to come of that. And as dawn breaks, they see a messenger coming along. And noticing that the messenger is one of theirs, they hail him. He stops, gives them some information. Apparently, Thorkel decided it would be a good idea to take all of his actual followers, and there's like 500 of these guys, and attack the besieging encampment when they weren't expecting it. Which they do. They basically destroy the siege army, even though there was 4,000 people in it versus his 500.
It's the whole Heroes of War thing.
Yeah, and they just kind of survivors scatter and whatnot.
Mhm.
Now, in realistic numbers, it doesn't show how many people he killed. It was a surprise attack. They weren't expecting it. His 500 could have only killed like 500 of theirs, and everybody else got spooked and ran off. Right, like people are scared of this guy, so that's
Yeah.
a possibility.
I mean, he is
they-
like just ridiculously.
If you look at like the
Strong and
actual
stuff.
like strength stats that he has compared to the
Yeah, to everybody
other
else.
Vikings, like first of all, he is significantly stronger and he's significantly taller. His
Yes.
his reach, like nowadays, this wouldn't matter. He'd get gunned down very fast and be kind of worthless.
It's
But
True.
but back
Nowadays,
then,
he's a giant target.
exactly. But back then, they can't hit him with anything except arrows. And honestly, like eat with muscles that strong, arrows don't penetrate that hard.
Yeah.
So like,
Also,
especially unless you're really pulling on it, and those guys do not have longbows.
yeah, and fun fact, they don't have longbows, and the bows they do have are for hunting, and they don't use them in war.
Exactly. They have
Because-
like short bows essentially, which are
Yeah.
shorter range. They do not get as much momentum. Nowadays,
they
if you're
will-
hunting, you would use a compound bow, which is kind of insane and would easily murder this man. However, they don't have that technology.
Yeah, they don't have compound bows, they don't have longbows, which means their arrows literally cannot go through chainmail. So they can't deal with this giant bastard.
So, like,
Um,
while it is kind of ridiculous that this one-man army beat them all up,
Well, he did
it
have
kind of makes sense.
5 other guys. And apparently, his followers are all giant, strong guys too, which is not surprising.
Listen, they
That would
like
be his handpicked followers, right?
they
So
eat 100% pure whey protein, and that's it.
So they hear from the messenger that these guys attacked, basically destroyed the army, scattered the survivors. They're trying to regroup to go and rescue the prince, who Thorkel didn't kill but captured, because probably as a way to force his father to fight, like make his army fight him.
Exactly. Because Thorkel's just bored. He wants a place to fight.
Yeah, Thorkel is bored and only really cares about combat and fighting. So, upon hearing this, Askeladd promptly cuts off the head of the messenger. And people are like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, so, this is an opportunity for us. What we're going to do is we're going to bury his body and the horse that he rode in on, literally, so that people can't tell where he went missing at, or at least can't tell right away. We're going to take our men and we're going to attack Thorkel, and we're going to grab the prince from him, because either side, either the English or Denmark, is going to pay us a large sum of reward for having the prince and giving him to either side. So basically, this is a money play for him. There's people like, oh yeah, you're right. This will be easy. This will be great. We'll get lots of money from this. And it's 500 now. Thorkel versus who killed 4,000 people versus their 100 people. And that's where the episode kind of ends. And he's like, well, what do you plan on doing? Like, Bjorn basically walks up to him and says, look, what do you plan on doing now that you've riled them up? He's like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's like the best. I love like all those dynamics with these characters. Like, oh, it's such a good show. God, why can't everybody be this good at writing shows?
Like, and this is why I was super tempted as soon as I saw that, episode 11 was up, to just kind of hit play on it, and I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm busy. I just can't hit the button. But I wanted to hit the button.
Yeah. No, I'm
excited to watch the next episode. I'll watch it tonight at some point. Also, we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna watch this week. Anybody got any ideas?
So I have 2.
Okay.
Ooh, good. That means that I can make the decision and Dale has to deal with it.
I hate you fuckers. I don't know why I put
Okay, so guys. I'll give you
Come on, we had good shows and a good. Come on, this week was great.
So yeah, and now you're gonna ruin it.
I had very low expectations.
Wait, what was the show we watched before that? Because did we do 2 in a row that were decent?
Yeah, we did Astra.
What was Astra was decent.
Yeah, that
the
one
we did before.
Was decent, but also on Funimation.
Yes.
No, okay, yeah, I watched that on my computer. Okay.
And then the other one we did was the whole Kappa butt thing.
Oh
yeah,
yes,
that was purely
terrible.
A meme.
That was
dumb. Meant to annoy you.
That was the worst show I've ever.
You gotta sprinkle one of those in every once in a while, okay? But we can't do it that often.
Right.
So I have 2. I think one of these is on Crunchyroll. I'll give you the names both in English, and then I'll talk to about.
I just got an alert. Porn. Mr. Vengeance has left the group.
So.
Yes. I'm sorry.
One of those called Outbreak Company, and the other one in English is Saga of Tanya the Evil. So
I've seen Tanya. I like that one. That one's really fun.
So
is Outbreak Company about?
You're not going to guess what that one's about. Don't even try.
It's fine.
It's
so I'll start with
a quick rundown of it.
Well, let me start with Outbreak. Yeah, Outbreak is a basically the first isekai parody that came out. So just like how we watched the show with the incompetent water goddess, this is the same type of deal. It's a parody show of isekai, where this guy is literally the son of a light novel author and a eroge illustrator.
Okay,
that's his parent. That's who his parents are. So he's a giant otaku, and he's picked by the government of Japan to go to another world to basically spread Mo culture and build relationships with them. And that's the basis for
and it's like it's a comedy thing.
It's a comedy parody thing, yeah, of other isekai shows. And Tanya is a war story. So basically you're following the adventures of Tanya, some last German name, which I can't pronounce.
So this is an isekai.
Yes, this is an isekai. This is
not anywhere near any other isekai you've ever watched.
No. So Tanya is basically a maniacal child soldier in a alternate history universe.
World War II-ish, working for the Nazis.
Where she is basically fighting for the Nazis, and you're kind of following her around as she does like evil, insane stuff.
Oh, that sounds fun.
So the story is, it was this like salary man who was really high up in position in his company, was also kind of a dick.
Yep.
And during one of the days, he fires one of his employees and is just a total ass about it. And the employee's like, I have a family. I'm gonna like starve. And he's like, I don't give a shit. You should have thought about that before you did your work poorly. Believe it or not, that guy didn't take too kindly to it.
Okay.
And while your main character, who's still a fully grown male adult at this point in time, at least 30 something years old, he just gets pushed in front of a train. And it cuts into slow-mo, and God starts talking to him and being like, hey, you've been kind of a dick, dude. And then the dude's like, I don't care. You're not God. God doesn't exist. And the entire thing becomes him trying to prove that God doesn't exist while God's yelling at him.
That's amazing. That's kind of hilarious, actually.
It's actually a really good show. It's very dark.
Yeah, that's a very dark.
He tells God, fuck you, and then God says, all right, well, screw you. You are now an orphaned little girl in war-torn Germany right before World War II, and you have extreme magic potential, which is what children were being drafted for in the war.
He's like, so suck it, you're going to die as a child soldier. And he's like,
so God is throwing all of these curveballs at him while he is this little girl, and he becomes a she and all that. So God's throwing all these curveballs at her, and she is just rolling with the punches and blasting it out of the water. It's hilarious, and it's dark, and it's an awesome show, and I really liked it.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's
so
watch that. That
basically
sounds
it's gonna be like,
interesting.
I'm gonna be the best Nazi ever. You can't stop me. So it's
Oh my
And
god!
it I've seen the whole show. There are after credit scenes, and it like at the end, like when it gets to certain points, she starts using like real world military tactics from like modern day, like that are evil and terrible and terrifying against these people who have more or less only gotten to 1920s equivalent of technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they also have magic so they haven't really relied on it as much. So it's really steampunky as well because the magic and mix of tech. So I like it.
But it looks like a more of a show that Dale might enjoy rather than something that is.
I don't think he'll hate this show.
No.
Oh
I
man,
think,
really,
however,
we're
he
really
would hate-
shooting for the stars here. I'm gonna have like 3 shows in a row that I don't hate, maybe.
Well, so the only thing I think you might not like about it is the fact that it is a 9-year-old girl. But she doesn't act like it because she has the mind of like a 30-year-old
it's an adult stuck in a 9-year-old girl's body, so like it's
Exactly.
different.
Yes.
Exactly. So that's I don't know how you'll take it because that is a very anime trope, but you know.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so what is the show? Tanya something?
The Saga of Tanya the Evil.
Okay.
Saga of Tanya the Evil. Which should give you a general idea that the main character is evil.
Okay, I'm in. Sounds funny. So that's what we're gonna watch next week. Anybody been up to anything cool? We've been playing Borderlands.
And I think it is on Crunchyroll. So
Playing a little.
It is on Crunchyroll. I watched it there as it aired. Yeah, Borderlands. I finally finished the story for Borderlands.
Same. I just did it yesterday, actually. So.
Ooh.
Do you want to talk about it?
Sure.
Should we give a spoiler notice?
We can save it till the end if you want to talk about it.
We don't have to. We could just skip it until
No, we
next
can
week.
definitely talk about it. Let's just give it
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Bit of a spoiler notice. If you haven't finished the story, we are going to discuss some things. So I think
Borderlands 3.
pretty much everybody by this
Spoilers.
point, after what, 2 weeks, is probably done.
It's been 1 week. What do you mean?
Has it only been 1 week?
Yeah, it just came out last Friday.
After a week, I think
it did come
most
out
people
last
are.
Friday. I think it came out last Thursday for anybody cool.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
So I'm pretty sure most people are done, but bit of a spoiler. We are going to discuss some things from the story. So
Yeah,
Get it now.
we'll talk about some story beats and stuff. I don't want to talk. I want to talk about the final boss, but I don't want to talk about that stuff while spoiling stuff for other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that sort of thing.
I mean, if we just want to wait and do Borderlands talk next week, then that might be.
That would make sense because like
Yeah.
we also
Yeah.
have spent more time in it because
Borderlands
I'm
was
doing
fun.
Tim and Endgame.
all
That's
right, we'll
good.
give you an extra week to finish the story, though I'm pretty sure most people are.
But if
probably
you
done.
listen, if you're one of those people that watch listen to this podcast and play Borderlands and you haven't beat the story by then, it's your own fault.
As I said 2 weeks in the sub-op chat, we're not allowed
Yeah.
to talk about spoilers until 2 weeks after the game comes out there.
So yeah,
So-
makes sense.
Yeah. I think podcasts are a little different as long as you can give a spoiler warning ahead of time, but you know.
Yeah. So next
I will
week
say
will
that
be
this
the
is
Borderlands
an
podcast.
incredibly good game. And if
Oh
you
yeah,
were on
it's
the fence,
fantastic. It's 10 out of 10.
This is definitely a pull the trigger on it type of game.
Buy it.
If you have ever liked Borderlands, this game is for you. If you don't like Borderlands because of its abrasive humor, this game is not for you. If you don't like it because the gunplay has sucked, this game is for you because the gunplay is much better.
Oh yeah.
The gunplay in this is
If you don't like it
incredibly
because
good.
Borderlands is a glitchy mess taped together with duct tape and wishes, this game is not for you.
Yeah, it does have a few glitches, which I don't know
What-
why anybody would be surprised by that.
Like I've said it a million times. If anybody's surprised by the fact that Borderlands 3 has glitches, I don't know what you expected. I am one of the biggest advocates for Borderlands 2, and that game is held together with just wishes.
Yes. Now there are a couple things I hope they address.
Yes.
Not performance issues. I haven't noticed any of those personally, but I know some people have, especially on console when it comes to menus and frame rates. But
Yeah. I think we were
specifically with
discussing
things
that
not
last week.
working the way they're supposed to. One of the big ones is when you finish the game, you unlock something called Guardian ranks, which is basically your badass ranks from Borderlands previously. They've basically been reworked and renamed here. And as you level up in each, there's 3 trees. You unlock perks as well as your normal bonuses that you always unlocked. The capstone for one of these is called Hollow Point, and if you unlock it, basically what it causes is when you kill enemies, it causes them to explode, which is cool.
Mhm.
But the explosions are not friendly. Now, I kind of expect them to hurt you because you can hurt yourself with grenades in this game, so that makes sense.
Mhm.
But
rocket launchers and grenade launchers.
and rocket launchers and normal explosions, but you can also hurt your pet, which you normally can't do, and you can hurt teammates, which you normally can't do. And in addition to that, and this is why everybody knows it's broken, is the fact that it ignores health gates, which is something the game is not supposed to allow no matter what. So it's kind of an issue, and people are hoping they fix it pretty soon. And there's
I've also heard plenty of issues with negative Guardian rank.
Yes, there's a negative Guardian rank thing. There's a couple of causes for that. One of them is if you play offline and then reconnect to online, and you earned a bunch of Guardian ranks and spent them. Like that's going to be a problem.
It becomes a weird blank space where you come online and it reads that you have the perks, but it doesn't read that you earned them. So
Yes,
you
because
have to get those. Like I think Fatal had like 37, like negative 37 Guardian rank.
Oh
yeah,
my
you
god.
have to re-earn those ranks to start earning them positive again.
Luckily,
the
Guardian
reason-
rank is not that hard to earn.
Yeah.
I checked mine after like a day and a half of just doing TVHM stuff. I'm not even 2-0 yet in the main story, and I have like 40 rank.
Yeah.
So it's not super terrible.
No, they're pretty easy to earn just by playing through. It looks like they're pretty much a set amount that might go up slowly over time. But the issue for the offline versus online thing is that when you play offline, the game is giving you like a 900% experience bonus, which is an issue when you go then online, where that issue has been corrected through a hotfix.
Yep.
So now the game reads the hotfix and looks at your previous account and goes, well, that's wrong, and tries to fix it, resulting in negative Guardian ranks. So an issue. And one that can basically be avoided by not playing offline if you're don't have a reason not to do so. So there's that. The other kind of bug one I found that is really annoying is one of Amara's skills is bugged. So
Which one?
I think it's called transfusion. It's in the red tree right at the top. If what it does is that it takes some of your weapon damage and converts it into a dot of your elemental of your equipped element. Right. Here's the thing. So let's say you're using a gun that has the same element that you have equipped, the dot from transfusion will replace the dot from your weapon. The dot from transfusion is always usually much lower than the dot from your weapon. So if you have like a a dot on your weapon that does like 2,000 damage per second, and you have transfusion unlocked, it can replace that with, say, a 4% damage dot instead of that 2,000 one, which might only be like 50, right? Like it's a
Right.
huge damage decrease if you have using the same weapon as what you have equipped for an element. So either you have to make sure that your weapon's element doesn't match your equipped element and don't use weapons that do, or you just can't use transfusion until this is corrected, because it can be a giant debuff for Amara's output and damage.
Gotcha.
Yep. I'm just having a great time playing Zane and going at the speed of sound.
Hmm.
It is my favorite time because I have a pistol that deals 500 damage, and when I'm going the speed of sound, I deal 4K without headshots.
Nice.
So
It's a good time.
Yeah, I
it's a very
saw.
good time.
I gotta look into this guy's build because he posted the build for it. But he did a Grave Ward kill on Mayhem 3 in 2 seconds
Oh God,
with
that's
Black?
with Amara.
Ooh, nice.
So I'm curious, the hell was he stacking? So I gotta go look at that.
nice. Yeah, I've been playing Zane and Amara. I prefer Amara. So like I'm at some point definitely going to want to try to get somebody to power level me in Amara. So I can have a high level
Zane and
Amara.
Flak. I've been enjoying Zane more because while Flak
Oh
has
no,
some
Zane's
stupid
fun.
buffs,
He's fun.
While Flak has stupid buffs, I love speed-based characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for Sonic the Hedgehog, because man, name 2 good Sonic games. But I love speed-based characters, and it's very fun. And the fact you get buffs from going faster, and you can just meme all over people, like it's my kind of game. It's my kind of character. Flak is also fun, and he's kind of hilarious. And I love having a pet and screaming brutals, "No, please don't die." So I did name my spider ant Brutals.
Or level 1 Mudcrab.
Like Red did. It's amazing.
I don't know how to rename. I don't know how to rename pets.
I don't either.
honestly. I need to figure it out. I'm pretty sure it's
So
the
if you
crystal
want to
station.
rename your pet, go to the change station.
Yep. Okay.
And you'll have a button prompt at the very bottom of the screen that you can rename yourself and rename your pet.
Dope. Yeah.
Nice.
I have
I
figured out like how my Zane looks, and it's perfect. He is black and pink and wearing the Wanderer head because none of the other heads I like.
There is an Amara head. So I went because the current heads I have for Amara, I don't like most of them.
Uh-huh.
I'm okay with a couple, but there's nothing that's like really standing out to me as a great head. Because I just started on my Amara, so I haven't locked a ton of stuff yet, even though I'm level 50.
Yeah.
So I went and looked at up a video to see what heads are out there, and there are a couple I like. I just gotta get them now. But I gotta start a Moe's soon and power level a Moe's.
Yeah. I have
And do some
need
really
to
broken
power
stuff
level
with this
my
game,
Flak.
Salvador.
But I've been really enjoying. I've been just really enjoying Zane. I don't want to play something else. Like I'm gonna probably go back and carry Bree through the end of the story on Zane because I don't want to play Flak.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's just more fun going at the speed of sound.
Right.
Like I was I
I
finished
really
leveling
like
my Siren.
putting Hyperion SMGs on Zane and just hip firing because you don't slow down if you hip fire.
I love the doll SMGs. As long
those
as
are
it's
good too.
first single shot.
Yeah, I need to get myself a butcher because I was playing like after you left there, Dale. Yesterday, I joined Amarog and Red,
Uh-huh.
and Paul was there as well. So I teamed up with Paul to start leveling because he wasn't level 50 yet, neither was I. So we just went. But on one of his runs, he got a butcher to drop for his flak, and that thing is goddamn insane for the Grave Ward. So I definitely want one of those.
It's insane for Flak with the Grave Ward.
Yes.
I got a butcher as well, and it's fun for my build. It's very good, but I have to reload significantly more.
Yes, yeah. Whereas Flak pretty much doesn't reload, especially with that thing. Like it just melts the boss. It's nutty.
It's kind of hilarious.
Nice.
Because I also want the butcher's also supposed to be really good for Moe's, so I want to put it on Moe's because one of the things you can do with her is basically make it so that you don't ever reload because your guns just basically regenerate ammo as you use them, which is stupid.
Yeah. Well, man, hey, have you guys played any other cool games recently that are also like, I don't know, pretty modern or in beta or that involve war and I don't know, like carnivals or some shit?
I
Carnival's
was
fairs.
playing Cottlefield today. Can we get that trending? Hashtag Cottlefield, because Call of Duty is Battlefield now, and I am enjoying it.
Only Ground War is Battlefield. Like they have
Yeah.
normal COD modes too. Like I play.
I love it. You know what else I have
Yeah,
besides
the
like
beta.
normal? Like they have this whole like the 10v10 is fucking cool. I like the 10v10. In the beta, there's only one map for the 10v10 and only one map for the 32v32. I wish there was more than that, but on full release, I will have that, of course. But like the 32v32 is fucking chaotic and it doesn't flow great. I'll admit it. As somebody who loves Battlefield and loves that formula, it needs adjusted. 32v32 in the Battlefield mode. Battlefield has much bigger maps. This is still a huge map for Call of Duty, but like it's not big enough for 32v32. Not to mention they put three of the capture points right in the fucking center. Really
Yeah,
close to
I
each other.
haven't
You spawn on
played,
the flags.
that
So like
version
say
yet.
you own one flag and the enemy team owns the other flag, you literally will spawn between the flag you own, the flag they own, getting shot because it's like whose idea was that? So like, and there's also on the edges of the map like literally buildings that you don't go to because there's no fucking reason to. So why not put the flags there? I don't that would make the game flow a lot better if you ask me. I don't know if you like saw how the map looked or whatever, Comfy, but
I saw a little bit of it. You're not the only person I watched play on that map, but I watched a couple people dabble in it. It looks like, for the most part, everybody was in like that one warehouse that you were in.
oh yeah,
praying that they
I
didn't
was
get
having a much better time when I was avoiding that area.
Yeah.
Because then I would
but
actually feel like legit like Battlefield moments. Also, I sniped a
played a
chopper
bit of it.
pilot right out of the helicopter, and it was great.
It feels like, man, playing the beta, it feels better than any COD game I've played.
Mm-hmm. It does feel good.
It looks better than almost any game I've played.
It looks great. I'm 100% buying it. It's gonna be a fun time. I'm gonna grind it quite a bit, I think.
Man, some of the maps though are just so.
Yeah, no, I hear you. The map design a lot of times isn't perfect, but
Well, so they did do something very good this game, which was they went away from the 3 lanes, which has been plaguing Call of Duty for a long ass time.
yeah.
I don't know if you played a lot of Black Ops 3 or 4. I played a lot of 3. I have the weapon camo for getting diamond on every weapon.
I didn't play a lot of 3 and 4.
Yeah, all of
I played
those
a little
maps
bit of 'em.
are 3 lanes, and there's little to no variation.
I really didn't like Black Ops 3 or 4 that well. I liked I played Blackout quite a bit for Black Ops 4, and like only because of like people that I was friends with that were like, yeah, BR. I was like, okay. So that was the only reason I played a bunch of that. So I'm excited
I
to be
really
excited for
enjoyed it.
Call of Duty game again. I haven't cared about a Call of Duty game releasing since like Modern Warfare 3, and I didn't like it. So hey.
I liked Modern Warfare. My problem is I get excited for every Treyarch one, and then Zombies is when it's bad, it just makes me depressed.
Right.
Because I'm a very big Zombies fan,
Mhm.
so
Right.
when I don't get to actually play it, I get very sad. And,
Understandable.
like, I'm glad that they're not trying to do zombies in this game because
Right.
Infinity Ward has tried so hard to make a game mode similar to zombies that Treyarch had. They tried to do it with aliens and it wasn't fun or good. They tried to do it with zombies and it would just felt like a dollar store version of it. Like, I'm glad that they're just accepting what they have and running with it because they're doing fantastic.
Yeah. There's also going to be a
whatever they're
campaign,
doing.
which will be cool. So like it's a plus full crossplay. Like I was playing with Xbox and PS4 people yesterday at the same fucking time
and it shows you
on
like,
my
who you're playing with
PC, and
all
I'm
that.
like, fuck me, that's amazing.
It's
So,
what, it's
yeah.
what should be the standard.
It should be, and I feel like it's going to be very soon.
I'm very certain that that's going to become industry standard.
Yeah.
There's too many
It's like
developers.
next gen
and
consoles are
too many
going to
people
100%
pushing
be
for
full
it.
crossplay. Like
Yeah.
next gen consoles 100% will be. I'd be surprised if they're not.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, there's so many people who push for it just as an
Yeah.
audience-based thing, and a lot
Thanks,
of developers are
Fortnite.
pushing for it. So it makes, yeah, you really do have to,
Thank
like, no
Fortnite.
mean, like
Fortnite-
you have to thank
Right.
Epic for it because they're the ones who
Yeah.
really pushed for this because they're big enough to force companies to do this
Yep.
thing.
All the people that are like,
Epic didn't even-
Epic Game Store, fuck yourselves.
Let's-
Shut up. This is what you get. You get crossplay thanks to them.
Fortnite's bad.
A lot of the hate for Epic comes from the fact that they're the ones who made Fortnite. It's like, oh, they made Fortnite. They must suck. It's like, no, they make something that you use if you play video games. Like, that's where most of their money comes from.
Well, it's like, what game what's the biggest game that came out that was a console exclusive this past week or a week or two ago? Gears 5. What
Yeah.
what company made Gears of War originally? I forget.
I
Was it
don't
Epic
fucking
Games?
know.
That'd be
Oh, was it?
crazy. What game engine do they use? Is it the Unreal Engine that's made by Epic Games? That'd be crazy.
Yeah, what companies use
think it is,
Unreal in
though.
their games? I don't know, most people.
Yeah.
Like,
Unreal is a very good engine. It's very easy to use. Epic gives you so many assets for free.
Mhm.
Like, listen, just because you don't like Fortnite, that doesn't mean that Epic is like a terrible company, guys. Please
Epic's
calm
great.
yourselves.
and the people
So-
who complain that the Epic Store is like, well, it doesn't have features. Do you really use
Oh,
them?
fuck
Ooh,
off.
man, did
Somebody
Steam
was
have
trying to convince me a couple weeks ago that they were like, I don't support the full-fledged product because they were saying Epic Store is a product that doesn't have features. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? It's not the product. Walmart's not the product when you go buy
No, it's
your
the store.
Febreze. That's ridiculous.
besides, I'm old enough to remember when Steam first launched and people
Yeah.
bitched about it, and it
Yeah.
had nothing on it. It was just a bare bones launcher.
That is the example I bring up every single time. When Steam launched, you had to download it to play Half-Life 2, and it
Yep.
was the end of the world for the
Mhm.
PC gaming community. Like,
Oh,
it
people were
was Armageddon.
so
It-
angry.
you had to download this software. You had to get this DRM. Like, how could they? How could this company that they thought cared about them? How could a Valve do that to them? And now, hey, who jerks off Steam every 20 minutes?
Oh, so same
Gaming
people for sure.
community.
Yeah, it's
Same people.
like they're just a store. It's just a launcher. There are multiple launchers nowadays. Yes, that sucks. But
Is it annoying? Yes. Does each launcher offer something different that's also like a super dope? Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. And
Hey,
You know what?
hate Epic? Too bad you're not getting 6 Batman games for free this week.
yeah, and I don't really care about having to download launchers. They're tiny. They don't really take up my system, and I don't leave them open and running when I'm not goddamn using them.
Exactly. Like I can deal with having my launchers open and running, but I don't
Besides,
keep them all open because I don't need
All-
to.
all these things also allow you to put icons like for the game itself on your desktop, so you can click that instead and just have it run. Like,
My left monitor has icons for every single game installed on my computer.
yeah, that's a thing you can do rather than opening the launcher. I use the launchers just because, whatever.
I use the launcher a majority of the time, but I do keep that option if I can't figure out where
yeah, but you wanna,
game is. Because
Yeah,
like every
so-
once in a while you get lost.
Yeah.
So, and also I
Yeah.
like having some things on my monitor.
Yeah.
I know people like having clean monitors with nothing on it. My right monitor, the one that I look at all the time, is that. My left monitor is a mess.
my
It's kind of hilarious because whenever my PC like glitches out and I have all of my stuff on one monitor, it just looks terrible. I'm like, please don't judge me. This isn't normal.
I usually can't see my desktop of my left monitor, just because I usually have a window open on it. But if I looked at my actual desktops for each of my monitors, they have no more than like 2 rows at the very edge of stuff. That's it.
I have
So I keep stuff.
7 rows.
Well, total, I would have 4 But my desktop is really well organized just because I kind of need it to be organized for
Yeah.
work. So
I need to mess with some of these because some of these I don't really have the game installed anymore. Like I don't have Modern Warfare 2 installed.
Hmm.
I don't have Diablo 3 installed. Like
it is a fun game though.
yeah. No, great game. But I don't have all of that just like perfectly ready to go. So, and like there's certain games like Wolfenstein. I don't like the Bethesda launcher. I think it's terrible.
Oh,
But
it's
hey,
garbage.
I will gladly just launch the game from my icon.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
don't like Bethesda as a company.
Not anymore. I used to. Man,
I don't like
used
Bethesda
to.
as a company. They're the laziest development company that is
Yeah.
currently making games.
Absolutely.
It's
Man,
fucking
by and large.
crap.
Have I told you guys about my my opinions on Wolfenstein Youngblood?
Oh, it's not
I don't
good.
remember.
It is a fantastic co-op game, but if you are playing it by yourself, you are much better with another loaded gun. Like it is your AI teammate dies and uses your extra lives.
Oh, we did have. I remember this rant. Yep,
Like,
it happened.
How is that
Yeah.
an acceptable thing in any game? Look at man, you want to know what games did it perfectly? BioShock Infinite. You start the game, the moment you get Elizabeth, it says Elizabeth can take care of herself. Don't
Yeah.
worry about her.
Like, she's
Last
fine.
of Us, Ellie doesn't screw you over. She's there, and she definitely should, but she doesn't because it would ruin the game experience.
Yeah.
Like, and that's awesome. Like that's how you should do it. Like Uncharted, same exact thing. Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy, you're running through the entire game with an AI character with you. Most Uncharted games, actually, just not from the majority of the game. And your AI teammate doesn't screw you over. It's not a hard concept, and I can't believe that a game would allow that. Sorry for my rant, but you know.
Yeah, it was a very odd choice, especially in a game where traditionally it's a single player experience to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm totally fine with them making those games co-op. You make Doom Eternal co-op, I will play the hell out of it.
I
Pun intended.
really want to play Doom Eternal when that shit comes out. Doom 2016
Really excited.
was my game of the year that year, 100%. Granted, I didn't play it until like 2 years after the fact, but hey, it was so good, so damn
Very,
good.
very good.
Love
I
that
just
game,
started
like
playing it again.
so good. I just did a playthrough of it on a harder difficulty while you guys were all at Guardian Con. That's right, because I remember people hanging out and stuff. Yeah,
On it. Yeah, no, it was a good time.
yeah, it's a great time.
So was Guardian Con.
Yeah, it was. Man, we're gonna have to. Hopper, can I direct your attention to the Office? Thank you.
The
We need a
office.
meeting.
What was there?
God damn.
Oh God, there's paragraphs in here.
Don't worry about it. I'll discuss it later. But
Yep.
yeah, no, it's a fun time. But Modern Warfare beta, good, fun, interesting. Check it out if you haven't already. It's free to play right now.
Today's the last. If you're listening to this not live and you're only listening on the podcast, I'm sorry, you've already missed out. It's closed.
However, if you are listening to this
sorry.
live, no reason not to download it and try it out.
It's fun. It's a good time. I'm 100% going to play it when it releases and gonna have a fun time. There is some balancing things. Like I wish that the time to kill is a little bit lower, at least at range. So like I was able to just take out snipers from across the map with an assault rifle, just holding the trigger and aiming, which probably doesn't feel the same on a controller, but I'm able to just keep my gun as a laser beam on a mouse and keyboard, and like there's very little damage drop off, so I'm just like, zzz, you're dead. It's just like a fucking laser. So I want a little bit of damage fall off so it balances the assault rifles a little bit more, because if you did manage to play the beta and you weren't using an M4A1 in almost every situation, you're doing it wrong.
Man, well,
it was
tell that
just
to my
so
level
dominant.
3 account.
It's just so dominant. Like,
I definitely picked it up whenever I saw it, but
yeah, yep. You should play it more until you get an M4A1 and then just use it. It's great.
maybe I will.
I mean, if
I'll be
you
right back.
want to. If you would like to play today, I'm down to play. Hello?
Hello?
Oh, okay. Is everything okay?
Coffee said he would be right back.
Oh, okay. I had to, yeah. But yeah. But yeah. If you got a chance to try the beta, I had a great time with the beta. I'm curious as to what you thought of it.
I have not played, so
I'm gonna be. Well, you're not really a shooter fan like that, are you?
I'm not a COD fan. No. not at
Right.
all.
Well, I used to be a COD fan, and then I'm like more of a Battlefield fan. But now I'm kind of like, yes, it's all of those things, kind of. So, but yeah, I'm gonna be playing a bunch of it when it comes out, and stuff like that.
No, I have a bunch of games on the radar to go, and that's not one of them for me.
I don't really have anything else on the radar until like Pokemon. And I say
Well,
that
there's-
knowing that I'll be disappointed by Pokemon. Like my adult brain is gonna be like, this is not my Pokemon. Because I
Like,
haven't played
I'm looking for-
Pokemon games since like Gen 3. So it's like, what is this, Gen 8 or 9? So there's like so many new things. Like I know you can have your Pokemon enter like beauty pads and shit now. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I'm looking
What?
forward to Pokemon. I'm looking forward to Shadowkeep. Looking forward to
Yeah, Shadowkeep too.
Was it Outlands?
Outer Worlds,
Outer Worlds. That's it.
that is going to be on the Xbox Game Pass at launch,
Then
which is kind of
there's-
surprising.
There's Jedi, which is coming up soon as well.
Mhm.
Cyberpunk is coming.
Cyberpunk's not coming until fucking April, right?
I hope it doesn't launch earlier.
Pretty sure it was like
Just to give you some breathing room.
2020, like April 2020. So there's still several months before that game comes out. But yeah, like Shadowkeep comes out in a week, a little over a week, which I'm very much excited about. Obviously, I played a ton of Destiny. And then
wanna
the
get
Call of
back
Duty comes out.
into-
I'm gonna be playing a bunch of that, and it's just gonna be like I'm gonna try really hard to balance Destiny, Borderlands, and COD. We'll see. I mean, at some point I'll probably just put Borderlands to the side because it's not like a live kind of game. But yeah, that's my plan. It's gonna be a fun time. Whenever we
It
get
should be a
Mr.
good
Comfort.
time. There should be like there's a bunch of stuff coming out, and that's not even all the games like Code Vein, which I'll look at some point. There's the new Zelda game that came out.
Oh, Kaylee's playing that. I picked that up for her the
Um,
other day or yesterday. She's been playing it on the Switch
Like-
today.
For those who are interested in Zelda games, it's a remake of an older one, but it's really really good apparently, and it is insanely good looking. Like holy crap, is that game beautiful? And I'd love to see more games in that style, of that type of game, like those little adventure games in that style. It'd be so nice.
Yeah, I think like Kaylee has been having a good time with it. I feel like her taste in games has changed. Like she doesn't like to. She played Call of Duty with me, and she was just like, "I'm getting my fucking ass kicked, and I don't care." So she quit playing like really quick. We used to grind a ton of Call of Duty together, so I'm kind of like, with it being crossplay, I was hoping that she would want to play it with me, but she's kind of like about it. So big sad, TBH. Oh well.
What can you do?
Yep. So yeah, next week we're gonna be doing. What was the shit? Oh,
Saga of Tanya the Evil.
Saga of Tanya the Evil. So that's what we're gonna be covering next week. Next week will also be the Borderlands 3 spoiler cast.
It's gonna be a great time.
So be ready for that. Comfy, you arrived just in time to.
I
Tell
never
everybody.
left.
We're gonna have a lot to talk about.
Oh, you were just quiet
Yeah.
for a while. Okay, I thought you got up.
Oh no, I totally left. I literally said I'm leaving. Well, so I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay. I see. You can't fuck with me. I believe you.
I mean, we
all right.
I
obviously
can fuck with you.
Well, everybody, now that Comfy has arrived just in time to tell everybody where to find him.
Yes, you can find me at where can people find me? So wait, really quick before we do that, did you see the sub-op raid prep night?
No, I didn't watch it.
So we were doing. This is a quick story. But I think it's hilarious. So we were
Okay.
doing raid prep night. We finished one raid and we jumped into the second one. We were waiting for some people to get back, and because I am a partnered streamer on Mixer, there's a thing called Channel One that goes around and randomly hosts with about 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So that showed up while we're there, and I tell the rest of the group. There's also a bunch of partners as well. Just like, hey guys, Channel One's here. Just so you know, there are extra people listening in. It's not just our community anymore. We got to be a little more appropriate. About 5 minutes later, Black Label in his infinite wisdom says, hey, everybody, you should follow me on at mixer.com/ and then his URL. And I had to remind him, I was like, hey, so I have Channel One right now. And he just stopped and he felt like a total asshole. Now, and I obviously didn't like drill it into him because I know how he feels. Like I would feel the same way. Dude feels bad. He later on then he gets Channel One and he gets the front page. So I tell him, man, sure would be a shame if someone were to self-promote right now. And we got an amazing picture of him on the front page of Mixer with the stream title, follow mixer.com/Comfimus. And that's where you can find me. Also twitter.com/Comfimus, Instagram @Comfimus, and code Comfy on the Epic Games Store. Hey, Copper, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Copperline Designs, Twitter at Copperline Art, because they don't give you enough characters to put in designs as part of my name. Fuck you, Twitter. Or you can look me up at copperlinedesigns.com.
And last, but certainly not least, unless we're talking about his weeb status,
That's
Dale, where
true.
can people find you?
You can find me mixer.com/Mr. Vengeance, Instagrams, and the tweeters at _Mr. Vengeance. We do all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, guys, next week, the story of
Saga of Tanya the Evil.
Saga of Tanya. I will never remember these fucking shows ever. I don't pay attention, and I'm the worst.
I think this one is like a literal translation of the Japanese names. That's why it doesn't sound quite right in English.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you for listening to 2.5 Weebs. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.